I have 2 miles to go to my hotel, and I am extremely proud of myself today. This has been another long day, but let's start at the beginning, shall we? Good morning. I'm coming to you from the forest after leaving Kvam, the Kirkes, Kirketeigen rooms and camping. I'm about 2 3/4 miles in on this 14-mile day, and I'm just sitting on a log. Somebody needs to get the Cub Scouts to put a couple of benches someplace. But here's where I am as far as the elevation goes for today. The red markings mean steep and difficult. I've got a lot of uphill and downhill yet to go, but I am just taking a little break. Um, the the terrain kind of ends up being highway, fields, woods, uh, or bushes. There might be another category in there too. So, leaving my destination from yesterday, I walked through some residential area and then right into the bushes. And because it's no longer snow, the bushes are up to here, and there aren't many pilgrims who have walked them yet. So it was slow going through the bushes, and then a little bit along the highway, and then up into the woods. There are a number of downed trees. I had an experience, let's see, I had an experience crossing. I can't really get a good picture of that. Sorry for motion sickness. Had an experience trying to get under one. There were two that were an angle, and I thought, well, I'll just crawl under. Well, well, I did that, and the pocket on my backpack got caught on one of the little branch things sticking out. So I had to unclip my backpack and start over again. So, fun things like that that make it all quite interesting. But on the backpack front, I am shipping my clothing packing cube and my toiletries packing cube. Remember that little extra pouch that I demonstrated for you a few days ago? That pouch actually fit that both of those packing cubes, which are the heaviest parts of my backpack. So now the only things I have in my backpack are my down quilt and a bag of food, and of course my water and my hiking poles. So it's much, much easier today. The elevation's not particularly easy, but it's much easier on my back. I find myself feeling like a sailor when I'm going down some of these rocky areas that are about this wide. I'm saying, steady as she goes, matey, steady as she goes. I don't know why that popped into my head, but that's what I felt like saying. All right, so better get back. I'm not even to the top of this first incline yet, so better get on the road, and I'll check back in with you in a minute or two. This is what I mean. Time to carry my pack through all this mess. Look at this. Someone did provide a bench, and it's right next to the cows over there having a lazy morning. And a rather quaint little setting here. So I'm on a downhill slope, and though navigating those downed trees was interesting. I had to just carry my backpack, and there was one set of trees where I thought, well, I'll just sit on this tree, swing my leg over, and grab my pack on the other side and move on. And so that's what I did. Unbeknownst to me, the tree that I decided to sit on was full of sap, and so there's sap on everything, on my clothes, and but it's just part of the adventure, isn't it? So I left today at about 10 minutes to 7. It's 9:21, so that means 2.5 hours, and I've gone about think 3.5 miles. So that's not a very that's not a very good pace, but at this rate I should get in before dark. Sunset, I think, is still 11 o'clock tonight. I'll be in plenty of time. But a nice little rest stop, and I have a lot of people to thank for encouragement. Of course, everybody who cheered me on as I took my day 19 yesterday. And by the way, that's the halfway point for me. I don't know about mileage if it's halfway, but I'm total of 38 days on the trail, and 19 is half of that. So but the people whose meditations I've read lately to myself have been very, very welcome. Joanne, Cindy, Gail, Linda, Jamie, and then Cassie, a friend from the leadership group. I'll just give you these two because I remember them and because they're very appropriate. The first one was give yourself grace, and I needed to hear that yesterday. And then also, even a dumpster fire can light a torch. She quotes that from a mutual friend of ours. And that's not to say I think I'm a dumpster fire, but sometimes life just throws things at you and you think, oh, this whole mess is a dumpster fire. But there is a torch to be lit here. And then finally, my husband sent me now I'm going to start crying, a really, really great message that I just happened to put on yesterday's calendar. And that's always the way it works. The one that I need the most shows up on that day. And so thank you, hon, for that message. All right, better get back on the trail here, and I'll check in maybe lunchtime. And then there was this bridge. The first step was a doozy, so you had to hang on to the guide rope, which had a lot of slack in it, but it did get me across. It's snack time, and there's a pilgrim table right here, along with the sign there about the trail. And I have to give kudos to the Pilgrim Center volunteers that make sure that the way markers are correct, because today there have been many, many more way markers. So like when I'm out of breath, I just stop and look around, and sure enough, there's going to be one up ahead there, and that makes it really nice. I don't know that yesterday or the day before that was the case. So it's break time, and I've got some nut mix and an apple. So I'm about almost 6 miles in, and about 8.5 to go, and a couple big climbs yet. I'm just grateful that I have the time, that I have the legs that can make a climb, that I have eyes that can enjoy all this beauty around me, and the wherewithal to make a trip like this. I am very, very grateful. Well, I've gone about 8 miles, and I have 5 3/4 to go. I always feel like when it gets down around 5, especially 3, then it's like home free, even if I have to go up. But I've been kind of rationing my water, and there was a house that I've been in the forest and on up and down trails with no sign of life anywhere. But now we've crossed the path and we're down close to the road, and I saw this house there, and I thought I will just ask him for water. So he very graciously filled up my water bottle for me. It, it is 12:46. So, and I still have 5 miles to go. So it's going to be another late afternoon. But fingers crossed that my package arrived there, and I'm going to eat a little something and get ready for these next two big climbs ahead, and then it's downhill into Otta. I have arrived at my destination. Yay! A little farther off the path than I thought it was going to be, but will appreciate a hotel room. And again, all the comforts of home: the bed, the desk, the chair. And stay tuned, I've got one more story for you. And of course, the bathroom. After 14 and a half miles, that shower is very inviting. Well, one more story to tell you before I put this video together, and that is that today I fell down an embankment. Well, I didn't fall all the way down an embankment, but I fell off the trail. Not enough to break skin or even bruise me or scratch me or anything, but it was pretty darn scary. There were weeds up, I would call them bushes, but the kind of weeds, up about this high on both sides of the trail. The trail was very narrow. And of course, I was using my poles and feeling left and right when all of a sudden, when I put my left pole down, there was nothing there. And it caught me off balance, and I went down with the pole. So the scary part for me was just stopping myself, and I was able to stop really fairly soon. But then what do you do? So here's what I did. First thing I did was I took my poles and put them back up on the trail that I had just fallen from. I wasn't that far from the trail, okay, but I was definitely not in a standing position. And then I unclipped my backpack. I took my backpack off and so that I could have my arms and do something with my arms, and get into a seated position. I moved my backpack off to the side, got myself into a seated position, and then just grabbed the weeds and the bushes on both sides of me, and my back was facing the trail. I just scooted myself up, grabbing those weeds until I got back up to the top of the trail. And then grabbed my poles, put my backpack back on, checked to make sure everything was okay, and it was. So don't put in the comments, "Be careful, Carol," or "Stay safe." I am careful, and this was just a fluky thing. It was not a stupid thing like sitting on a tree full of sap. That was just a stupid thing. I should have checked before I sat down. And another stupid thing I did was when the mosquitoes came out, I took my little spray container of DEET and was spraying all over, including my hat. And everything was fine until I realized, oh, my sunglasses were still on top of my hat. Next time I went to use them, they were not very useful. So those kinds of things fall into the stupid category. Falling down an embankment was just a fluky thing, and I don't want to make it sound like it was a major deal, but there is a butt print on the on the side of that trail now. If for future hikers that follow me today, you might see the results of that.